Hi, my name's Neil Dukoff. I'm founder and CEO of Strategies, and I am here today to introduce you to the winner of the 2020 Team-Based Pay No Compromise Leadership Business of the Year Award. And every year we do this award, it has to go to someone who had everything right and followed the systems, grew the business, great culture, gets team-based pay, reaps the rewards from it. And with that, I want to introduce to you the 2020 winner of the Team-Based Pay Business of the Year Award, Sarah McGee Mariman, owner of 30 Hair.
Good afternoon. You
Yay.
just gave me chills because I feel like I still have a lot I'm not doing right, but I guess I got a few things together right now.
Yeah, you're doing good, but as we said before we went live, you got a hell of a story. Unfortunately, those stories mean coming from the fiery pits of hell to get where you are. So, when did you find strategies? When did you do team-based pay? What'd you learn? What happened? What the hell happened? And how'd you unhappen it?
All right. So actually, this month, I believe, is 15 years for us with Strategies Team-Based Pay. I got roped into going to incubator with the lovely, infamous Lisa Cochran. And she basically convinced me we should go, that it would be huge for me. We were both in the fiery pits of hell financially. So we went along with actually who is now a current strategies coach, Melanie Laboda. And we did the whole thing. I cried the whole time. I took a lot of Advil. I drank a lot of wine at nighttime. And interestingly enough, I had a business partner, which was my father at the time, and he was at home and he was petrified. The whole entire time I kept calling, going, "Dad, we're screwed." Like financially, we knew we were in trouble, but we're really screwed. So did incubator, came home, agreed that we were going to do a coach, and worked with Daryl Jenkins, who, by the way, is tough as nails, but I needed that. And I requested Daryl several times during my years with strategies coaching. Came home, had at the time a 4,000 square foot salon and spa. We opened it because we believed in the build it and people will come. And also it was right before the recession, back in, what was that, 2008. And we opened it in 2006, and we thought like we were doing everything right. We had 35 staff members. We had the full spa, the whole shebang, start to finish. However, that also came with huge bills. And when we opened, we paid anywhere from 50 to 65% commission with no chargebacks. So no product fees, no nothing. And we also helped with health insurance and had paid vacation and had like a million benefits. But by the way, we couldn't afford any of it. So we went through a whole process with that. We switched to team-based pay. We converted. I was the third youngest on the team. And that was interesting to say the least, because everyone just looked to my dad and expected him to run everything. And he kept looking at me going, "I don't want to do this. You handle it. You figure it out and get us out of this." When we opened our space, we went into six-figure debt on a building we didn't own just to build it out, make it look pretty. And it looked pretty, but it was expensive, and we know it was a lot of bills to pay. So flash forward, we went through conversion. We switched everybody over to hourly. I had employees they were all employees. We never had independent contractors. We never did any of that. We definitely believed in integrity and up on doing things the right way. However, we didn't look at the finances. So we went through this whole mess of people now all of a sudden had to like be an employee and do their job. They had to sweep up for each other. They couldn't just sit and read a magazine in between clients. And it turned ugly. I would say, I guess it was probably about a year after we converted, we ended up with a walkout that I lost 15 of my staff members. Two of the staff members, who were a mother-daughter pair, they went and opened a salon and took everyone with them. I was 5 months pregnant at the time. And my first call was to Neil and to our group of friends from, back then it was called SBS, which was a business group from Strategies that we went 4 times in 1 year, my dad and I together, to learn what the heck we needed to do because we were a mess. Financially, it was a mess. Everything was a disaster. So we had our walkout. We instantly went from being in the red to being in the black. However, it'd been too long. We'd gone through too many months, at that point, years of being in the red. There was no recovering. We tried to recover. We tried to come up with different ways to make it work. Unfortunately, our space was huge. Our overhead was huge, and it just became too much for us. So we ended up being faced with the option of just walking away from our lease, except not really walking away because you know, personal guarantee and things like that, trying to figure it out and trying to make things happen. Well, our landlord wasn't exactly the best about things, and we ended up being able to get out of our lease, but we had to file bankruptcy with it all. So in 2014, we shut our doors and walked away from our 4,000 square foot salon and spa. And my dad, who's also a hairstylist, I am as well. I'm behind the chair about 25 hours a week. We were going to go just rent a studio together, the two of us, take our clients, give everyone else their client list, send the spa on their way, and just go for it. And just recover, like breathe. I don't know about you guys as owners, but like I'm tired a lot of the time. And my dad is significantly older than me. I love you, Dad. But he was tired too. Like he just wanted to do hair and enjoy life and enjoy the people who've been doing their hair for 40 plus years. So when we told the staff that this is what was going to happen, and by the way, it was only going to be a couple weeks later, which, you know, was not my dream situation, but none of it was. It was ugly as hell. My hairstylist said no. I didn't have a big team, but they said, no, we're sticking with you. And we had stayed team-based pay the whole time. And actually we started hitting goal once I had that walkout, but we didn't hit goal enough. And that was the problem. And it's really hard to climb out of credit card debt. It's really hard to climb out of all these things. And so we had to go through the fiery pits of hell with it all. So my hairstylist said, no, we want to stick with you. I don't want to work for anyone else. And I went, crap. What am I supposed to do now? We're closing in 2 weeks. We don't have any place to go. And I think that what happened then actually really taught me a lot for now, 2020 with the pandemic. So we shut our doors. We told our clients, stay tuned. I found a hair salon to let us rent from them, and we rented chairs and we shifted our stations. So we had 2 stations we were renting inside of another space. We were literally 2 shifts a day. I had stylists that went backwards, and then went support staff. I had my front desk team running out of the basement of my house. It was insanity. Like I can't even begin to describe how crazy it was. However, it worked. We worked 7 days a week. We hustled. And while we were hustling behind the chair, trying to keep our clients happy and keep them going, we were also trying to find a space and trying to find something that would work. And I knew I didn't want to make the same mistakes again that I'd done before with investing all this money into a huge, crazy build out and incurring all this debt. I didn't want to go that route. So about a month into renting that space, we actually got kicked out because we were too busy, and the salon that was there didn't like how busy we were. Take that one for you. Yeah. So we ended up
if you need me to ask you a question, just let me know. You're the easiest interview. Okay, continue on. I'll go take a nap. Wake
all
me
right,
up
sounds
when
good. So we ended up renting from Nevada Salon for 3 months, who that the karma or the what comes around goes around actually came back to, they helped us, we helped them a couple years later. It was fantastic how that worked out. So we ended up finding a salon to buy. It was existing. It was really interesting. We bought from 2 women that were owners who had done exactly what I'd always heard of at strategies on like the no. They bought themselves a job. They didn't buy themselves a future. They literally bought a hair salon. They both worked their own station, and they used one of those systems where it was a level system where you had an assistant and, you know, they did all the blow dries and all these things. It didn't work. They were working themselves into the ground, and they had no money to take from it. So we bought their existing salon for really inexpensive. It was pretty ugly inside. We got in there. We closed on a Friday. On a Saturday, we painted and moved stuff in. We were open for business Tuesday morning. Brought my staff with me. We had a weird hybrid at first because the owners refused to even think about team-based pay or hourly. They couldn't even fathom it. They were both close to retirement and been doing hair for a long time. So I was supposed to have literally bought, you know, the business, the client list, the location. Like I didn't buy the location, but all the stuff that was in it. Ultimately, I didn't really get the client list at the end of the day. I got a salon that was already built. And for those of you guys who know how much it costs to build a salon, and I'm relearning that right now, it's not cheap. So it got us in the door and it got us hustling. So when we did that, I had, trying to think here, I had 4 hairstylists, including myself and my dad, and the 2 owners. Their staff did not stay because they didn't like the accountability. And I actually came in and offered them training. I came in and said, hey, you've been blow drying and shampooing a ton, but you're a licensed hairstylist. I want to give you an opportunity to actually become a hairstylist and make more money and have growth. And they looked at me and went, no, thank you. So we went through this whole process that the owners lasted a year, and they didn't show up to staff meeting. They weren't a part of things. It was ugly. And it's that combination, doing that hybrid where you're not all on the same team. We knew that walking into it. I was very open with my team that this is what we had to do to get to our own space and to get to growth. And so if we can get through the ugly and work through the hell, it's going to turn out for the better. So they left, and wouldn't you know, things just started rocking and rolling. So fast forward, that was 2000.
I was going to ask you for the year.
2015. We purchased January 30th, 2015. So we purchased in. The first year was tough. It was hard to kind of figure out how to make things work. They had their stylists, their clients actually sitting for processing in this little tiny room. And they were all knee to knee, and it was weird in my opinion because we were such a team environment and things like that. And when I went in and redid stuff, I made that my color room, so we mixed color and everything. And clients were actually pissed. They didn't like the idea of they wanted to be crammed in this little tiny room together. It was so weird, some of the things that culturally were so different. So we've been there now for 5 years. And we will likely, because of construction and permitting, we will finish out the year there, which was not the original game plan. But we will start 2021, 6 doors down from our current space in a brand new hair salon, which, had you told me this even 4 years ago, I would have laughed at you. And I would have said, there's no way. This is not happening. And we have experienced the past 3 years, 30% growth. This is the first year we're not having significant growth. And I think everybody can understand COVID happened and we were slated to be growing like crazy. But unfortunately, this is what it is. And the 30% growth year after year was scaring me actually, because I learned in my early years that you want sustainable growth. You don't want to grow so quickly that you can't maintain your systems. You can't maintain all your structure and your accountability, and you can't get your staff trained properly if you're growing so quickly that you can't keep that consistency. So it had always scared me we were growing like this. So I guess, sorry to everyone else, COVID came so that we could slow down a little bit at my salon and make sure everything was structured and in place. And we could then make sure our foundation was really strong to move forward. So when we moved into our space, I had the 2 owners and then I had 4 hairstylists. The 2 owners obviously left. And I currently have 8 hairstylists, including my father and I. I have 1 that is almost finished her onboarding for hiring process. And I have several applicants right now that I've been point blank with them that nothing can happen until we get into our new space because we are on restrictions on, how many people can be in the building and things like that. And honestly, I'm a little overwhelmed with life right now. There's a lot going on with holiday season, COVID, building out a new salon. I'm also a mom of a 12-year-old. I'm a wife. There's a lot going on. So sometimes I got to pump the brakes a little bit and remember that whole sustainability piece moving forward. But I'll say we're hitting record sales right now. I don't understand what's going on and I love it. And I'm not going to jinx it, hopefully, but it's a process and it's exhausting leadership these days.
So we go through this pandemic and, all of a sudden, we're going to expand and we're going to open up a new salon 6 doors down.
Yep.
And explain the financial piece there because
sure.
You're in really good,
really
good financial shape.
Yeah. A year and a half ago, we actually started the conversation with our landlord about the possibility of actually blowing out the wall behind. There's a space behind us that's available. And we were talking about blowing out that wall and making it a big, long space. And unfortunately, our landlord ended up halfway through a negotiation selling. And actually, he went through a couple different buyers. So everything got put on pause. So we started the conversation again in January. And by February, honestly, I'd said no. The landlords we have now, while they are delightful, are new to this whole thing. And what they were offering me just didn't make financial sense. Like the rent didn't make sense. The tenant improvement money didn't make sense. It just wasn't a smart financial move. And this was 3 weeks prior to even talking about a shutdown. So that was before I knew that I was going to lose 11 weeks of work. So I said, no, not interested. So fast forward to talking to our landlord about the fact that, hey, we're closed. We haven't been open. And let's talk about if we're paying rent, what you're going to do about it. And my landlord didn't give any concessions on rent. They were flexible on when you paid it, but it needed to be paid that month. And if you didn't pay it, you incurred interest per day, just like our lease says. And if you couldn't figure it out, then they wanted to talk to you about how they were going to renegotiate your lease. And that wasn't really, I was not planning on that. But I didn't expect them to give me any like extras or anything like that. Let's be honest, they're in business too. They have bills to pay. So our first month, we had the money in savings. And said, okay, we'll pay the rent. And we had enough money to get through the summer when it came to that, but things would get tight because I was also making sure my staff's health insurance was still in place. I was making sure that all of our bills, we stayed current on everything while we were closed. So I was making sure all the ducks were in a row. We basically said, we'll pay rent and let's have a conversation in a month. The second month when we went to have that conversation, oddly enough, we had just found out we got PPP funding. And so I was able to say, yeah, we'll pay it, but can you please give me the grace of letting me pay it once I get the PPP funding in my bank account? Because at the time it was the only 8-week window, like all those really strict rules. They said, oh, of course. And in their next breath, they went, so let's get back to talking about expanding. And I was like, we're shut down and have no clue when we're reopening. What? And so we had this whole conversation and we went back and forth. I've never negotiated as hard in my life for anything like we went through this. We ended up moving. We're looking at 6 doors down, or we're moving to 6 doors down. The lease is signed. We're just waiting on permitting stuff to go through. And I already have equipment. Like we're ready to rock and roll. We'll be going to 11 chairs. We're currently at 6 chairs if we weren't in COVID timing, but we're operating out of 4 right now, just because of capacity and how things are set up, and the 6 feet apart and all the social distancing. But we'll be going to 11 chairs. I actually just permanently went to them being over 6 feet apart just for spacing. I think COVID isn't hopefully here for forever. Something like COVID's always going to be around anymore, and people are going to want a little more space between their stations. So we'll have 11 styling stations, 6 color application areas at our color bar, 5 shampoo bowls. I did not have a color application bar all before. I had 3 shampoo bowls, plenty of waiting space, a makeup, lash, brow bar, and a ton of retail space, because my team, unlike a lot of places it seems, is killing the game on retail. And I don't see us letting off the gas on that one. So we're going to really set us up for success on that and really shine. We're a beta concept and really shine those products and work to our advantage to help. Because let me tell you, retail sales is helping me out a lot right now.
What's your retail percent of total? Where are you at now?
That's a great question. Of course, you're going to ask me the one. I can tell you my average retail ticket. I can tell you my clients purchasing. I believe we last month were at 15%. And our average ticket right now for retail is $21.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, we had a big launch back in October with the beta, and that was we played bingo, coolest thing ever. Like my girls love to play games. They love little incentives. And so we played bingo, and they literally would come running out of the break room screaming bingo. And all the clients are like, what is going on right now? And even the prizes they won, they gave back to each other. Like the first one to win got a $30 prize, $30 cash. She bought pizza for the team. No,
Nice.
she bought pizza for the team. That's how it goes. So and they encouraged and helped each other to hit bingo, because everybody had to hit a bingo for us to be able to get Chick-fil-A lunch. That's what they wanted for lunch. And by the end, they were all like, here, let me help you explain this. We have a stylist who didn't love the product line as much. She wasn't like feeling it. And so 3 of my team members sat her down in the break room without me. And they were like, okay, let's talk about why you don't like it, because you're kind of crazy to not like this. So let's figure out how you're using it, what you need to do differently, and who it's recommended for, because you really should love this product. Great. I didn't have to do it. I love it.
What's your schedule like for you personally? Like how much time do you spend on the business
Every waking minute, my family
Well,
would tell
yeah,
you.
I know that. I,
So I
yeah,
am behind the chair 2 days one week, 3 days the next week. We have a rotating schedule right now, and that tends to be I work every other Saturday behind the chair. We're open Tuesday through Saturday right now, and I go in Tuesday mornings. I then come home and normally work from home because I get a lot more done at home on the computer. Where Mevo is our system, so now that I can do everything remotely, it's really nice to do a lot of my paperwork and stuff that way. I really try and reserve Sundays strictly for my family and for me to have a day off. Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm behind the chair. And so I do a lot management while I'm behind the chair, but I also, it's kind of that balance. They probably get me 25% as, overseeing the leadership side, but 75% leading in the trenches with them. And just being right there with them. Fridays, I am management, but it just really depends on the day if I'm in the building. Now with capacity restrictions, I'm really not in the building like I used to be. But I'm constantly, we have group texts that we're going back and forth on emails. I would say I probably spend 30 to 40 hours a week on leadership management and all aspects, between social media, between talking to the team, between checking in on them, between checking in on clients, et cetera. And then anywhere from 18 to 25 hours, depending on the week, behind the chair. So
all
I
right, let me
have
ask.
significant back. And that's hard. I get it. It's hard to cut back from behind the chair. My husband would love me to step back completely and just lead the team. But my passion is doing here too. I am an equal passionate person about them. So you get a mixture of both.
I'm going to ask a final question. This is for Daryl. Your many times coach.
Yeah.
The cash flow plan, looking at your financials,
Yes.
staying on top of that financial reality, building cash reserves. Would you just share with the viewers
Yeah.
how you approach that and what that means to you, and how it's really not
Sure.
that hard once you learn it?
Right. Well, so it's scary. I used to be petrified to open my bank accounts for the salon. I was terrible money management. I'm still not where I could be and should be. But I'm way better than I was. In the beginning, I didn't want to open the bank account because I would see a negative half the time, and I barely had money to pay the bills. I mean, really, truly, I didn't take a paycheck for multiple years. My dad barely took one as well. Now it's different, but I still act like I have no money when it comes to stuff. Like, I'm still scared by it. I still run a tight budget. I look at our cash flow plan every week. I am on our bank account every single day looking to see what it is. Bank account does not equal the same as what your balancing of your checkbook is, because you might write some checks that haven't gone through yet. As well, I look at our numbers every single day. So I'm on looking at the MA 200 every day. I'm looking at the estimated sales versus actual sales report. I forget what that is as well with Mevo, since we're still fairly new. We're like 8 months in. I'm looking at where our projections are, what we need to do. I'm updating our goals weekly, daily, whatever it needs to happen. And then I'm looking at what our expenses are for the next month. So our goal is announced at staff meeting every single month. I look at it at the first of the month. I look at the next month's one. I look at it halfway through the month and keep tightening up my projections. I look at it a week before, and I look at it the day before staff meeting. And the day before is when I determine what goal is for the next month. And our goal is truly set off of what are our bills that we have to pay, plus savings, plus goal being like hitting bonus and adding that in. Plus also what happened last year for the same month and what happened last month. So I have to really look, and I jokingly call it the Jimmy into where it belongs. But no matter what, it can't have a negative at the bottom. It has to have a positive, and it can't just be like $100 positive. And that's really important to making sure that we're growing and hitting where we need to be. And then the best money I ever spent when we moved into this new space, there was an agreement between my parents, my now husband, and I, that we would have a bookkeeper who oversaw everything and made sure that I didn't step out of line on anything, and made sure we stayed really focused. And Nicole has been my lifesaver, and she and I've known each other actually since college, and she is on it with me. We are constantly talking about our numbers. We're constantly looking at what bills are coming up, what that looks like, what I can spend money, what I can't spend money on. And that's a constant conversation. I probably talk to her 4 times a week at least. And that's just, she doesn't work for me full time. She has her own bookkeeping company, but she does all that. And then we use Copsa Ode for all of our taxes and accounting and everything like that. But you have to stay on top of it. You have to know that you can't spend if you don't have it. And it's hard. It's hard to not want to give somebody a raise because they're a nice person. They're a good person. They show up early to work. That's great. But they also have to retain the client. You really want to have a big paycheck because who doesn't want to get a big paycheck as an owner? But if the money's not there, I can't take it. It's just that simple. And so the financial piece, it's tough. The cash flow planner, I actually love it now. Excel is my thing. My staff know that I've taught them all to be numbers people. They love to look at the numbers. They love the statistics of it all. We look at them every month. My team also gets, just like I look at the cash flow plan so much, I also pull a report and do a spreadsheet for them. And every month, everyone sees their numbers together. It's on a spreadsheet in the back. Every month is up on the refrigerator. And it has things like productivity, retention, average service ticket, average retail ticket, their pre-book number. And we look at what the team numbers are, but also individuals. And we talk about staff meeting because we have it every month anyways. So it's a really great time for us to focus on that. And my girls know if we don't hit goal, the money came from somewhere. If we do hit goal and we have extra, great, that's savings for us. Or that's maybe we can look to what's something that we need for the future that I can plan for. But they know that, money matters. And at the end of the day, it's very black and white. And so we have to make smart decisions. And that's that.
And that's why you got the 2020 No Compromise Leadership Team-Based Pay Business of the Year Award. You've done a hell of a job, Sarah. I've known you for many years and kind of watched you grow up, and what a businesswoman you became. And personally, I'm very proud of you. I'm delighted that you entered the Team-Based Pay Awards, and I knew you would do well. But reading over and seeing the whole scenario from start to finish, you earned this one. And for 2020 to have one more good thing happen, why the hell not? It's worth it. I thank you. Nothing but incredible success ahead of you, and keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for your trust, and thank you for all your support all these years.
Thanks.